All right. So today we are going to cover chapter 9. In chapter 9, we'll talk about the perimeter, area, and volume of different objects and different shapes. So first we will see what different kinds of shape we have. We'll cover one shape at a time, one object at a time, and we'll talk about the perimeter, area, and volume calculation. We'll show you the formula and we'll practice some questions. And then we'll go to pause and practice the homeworks for chapter 9. Now, first, let's look at different kind of planes we have. Now, the planes are defined by two-dimensional flat surfaces. Any plane, if we mention any plane anywhere, that means we have two dimension. Sometimes in general the dimension can be length and width. Okay. So any intersect means either two lines are intersecting, crossing each other, two planes are intersecting each other. Any parallel means they never intersect. Okay. Anytime we mention that we have two lines parallel to each other, that means they do never intersect. If there are two planes parallel, they never intersect. Okay. For an example, if you look at this room, this classroom, you can get a feel from these two walls. For an example, you have one wall at your right and one wall at your left. If you see, these two walls are parallel. Doesn't matter how far you go, these two planes will never intersect to each other. Okay. To measure the angles of triangle or like rectangles, squares, we use degrees. So that is an angular measurement. So if we have a circle divided into 360 equal size angles, that is called 360 degree. And a quarter of circle is called 90, half of a circle is 180, something like this. For an example, let me draw something here. Let's say if you have a circle like this, that means we have a 360 degree angle here. That's a 360 degree angle. Now if you take a quarter of this, that means if you divide it by 4, so each quarter will be 90 degree each, because 90 times 4 is 360. Or if you take the half of the circle, which is, let's say you divide the circle by 2, you will know this. You're dividing 360 by 2, so it will be 180 degree each. So the half of a circle is 180. Now we'll look at different kinds of angles here. Now the first one is called the right angles. The right angles is nothing but the 90 degree angles. Any angle which measure 90 degrees is called right angle. For an example, in this in the circle, each quarter is a right angle, because each quarter is 90 degree each. So each quarter is 90 degree. So the lines or planes that intersect and form a 90 degree is said to be perpendicular to each other. For an example here, we have two lines which intersected each other, right? If two lines intersect each other, just like how we divide the circle into 4 quarters, they are perpendicular to each other, because by the intersection we have 4 90 degree angles created, right? So that's how they intersect each other, and they are perpendicular because by the intersection they created 90 degrees angle. Now the plane shapes or figures are the shape that are on plane surfaces. They are flat. For an example here, this whiteboard is a plane shape. Okay, because if you look at from this direction, This is plane shape, and whatever we are drawing here, those are flat. They have only two dimensions. What are those two dimensions? One is along this way, one is along this way, nothing else. So any plane, any flat surface has only two dimensions. Sometimes we call it length, width. Sometimes it may be a little bit different, but it doesn't matter how we call them, but there are two dimensions. Common plane shapes are rectangles, square, triangles, circles. We'll talk about this. We'll show you how they look like. You can see the circle here, right? And also this is a triangle, right? There are three angles and three sides. They're triangles. There are four sides and four angles, rectangle, and each angle is 90 degree here. That is rectangle. We'll show you those in the slide as well. And also the square, all the angles are 90 degrees, all the sides are equal. Here the reverse sides are equal, but here all the sides are same. Here we go. So this is a rectangle. You see the rectangle is a four-sided figure. So there are four sides or four edges. So these are some properties of rectangles. Number one, opposite sides are parallel. As you can see from this image, both of the opposite sides, either this one and this one or the other two, they are parallel. That means doesn't matter how far you go, those lines do never intersect. Right? Opposite sides are equal in length. Just assume a football ground or any basketball ground, soccer ground. They look like they're basically rectangles because you see their parallel sides are equal, they are parallel. I'm saying the opposite sides. And also the four inside angles measure 90 degree each. All of these angles, there are four angles, right? Each of these angle is 90 degree each. And also line drawn to opposite corners are called diagonals. You see here we tried to draw two diagonals and they intersected at the center. So these are called diagonals, and again they are also of same length. So these are all the characteristics of the rectangles, and this point is called the center where both diagonals intersect. Any question? Let's look at another shape. This is a square. So what is the difference now? So the difference is the first line, all sides are equal in length. This is the only difference between the square and rectangle. Everything else are same like rectangles, except all sides are equal, because remember that in case of rectangles, the opposite sides were equal, but all sides were not equal, right? But here all the four sides are equal. Otherwise, other characters are same, like we have four corners. Each corner we have a 90 degree angle, right? And you can draw two diagonals if you want. Both diagonals will be of equal size and the diagonals will intersect at the center. So those are pretty much the same like rectangle, okay, except all the four sides are equal. But remember, all the characteristics you have in the rectangles are still true, because if you say that the parallel sides are, the opposite sides are parallel, that's still true, right? Opposite sides are equal, that is still true. Now we will look at all the triangles. Now the triangles have 3 sides instead of 4. In all triangles, the inside angles add up to 180 degree. That's really interesting. Doesn't matter how you draw your triangle, all the angles will add up to 180. Doesn't matter how you draw it. There are several different types of triangles. Doesn't matter which one you pick. If you add all the angles together, like for an example, one is 45 degree, one is 25 degree, and let's say other one is 110 degree. If you add all the 3, you will always see that the total is 180. But there are several variants based on their characteristics. Okay. So these are some pictures of different types of triangles. Okay, we'll talk about each of these. Now the triangles can be classified by either by their sides or by their angles. So first we are showing you the classification by their sides. There are 3 different types of triangles we have classified by their sides. The first one, equilateral triangle, has 3 equal sides in length. Those sides are equal in their length, and they have 3 equal angles. Each angle is 60 degree. If you go back to this picture, this is close to an equilateral. These two, you see the right side, there are 2 triangles. All the sides are equal and all the angles are equal, and each of the angle is 60 degree each, because if you have 60 degree in one angle, if you add all the 3 angles, it will be again 180, right? Because all the angles will be always 180 degree. It doesn't matter what triangle it is. Now the next one is called isosceles triangle. Have 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles. How about the other one? So other side is not equal, other angle is not equal. That means, for an example, it should look like, if you look at this picture, can you guess which sides are equal? These 2 sides are equal, right? This is not equal. This is a little bit smaller in the picture here. And also these 2 angles are equal. But this is something else. But at the same time, if you just, let's say, assume, for an example, let's say this is 75 degree and this is also 75 degree. Okay. This must be 30 degree. Because as you know, the total will be always 180. So the last one is scalene triangles have no equal sides and no equal angles. These are some triangles where you will have different angles and different sides. You see here, this one, for an example, you see none of the angles are equal. None of the angle is equal to each other one, and none of the sides are also equal. Any question? So these are the 3 triangles you have classified by their sides. Now we'll look at the classification of triangles by their angles. Again, there are 3 triangles classified by their angles. The first one, right triangle. Now the right triangle has one 90 degree angle. We don't care about the other 2 angles. We know that the total will be 180 for sure, but one angle must be exactly equal to 90 degree. One angle must be equal to 90 degree, and as you see from this picture, there is a base. So this is the 90 degree, right? This angle is 90 degree, and there is a base. This is the height, and this edge which is opposite to the 90 degree angle or opposite to the right angle is called hypotenuse. Okay, this hypotenuse has a huge impact in geometry, because there are a lot of formulas and calculations are derived just based on the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is really important to understand. So the hypotenuse is an edge which is just opposite to the right angle. If you see any right triangle, the edge which is the opposite to the right angle is called hypotenuse. Let's look at the next one. Number 2, an oblique triangle does not contain any 90 degree angle. So it is a triangle where none of the angle is 90 degree, but together it will be 180. For an example, let's say one angle is 45, other angle is 40, and one angle is 95. If you add these three, it will be 180, but none of this angle is 90, right? So that is an example. An oblique triangle is also called obtuse triangle when it has one angle greater than 90. You know, when you have three angles and none of the angle is 90 degree, there must be some triangles where one angle is more than 90. In those cases, this kind of triangle is called obtuse triangle. We'll need a lot of practice to, capture these names and properties of different triangles. Another oblique triangle is called acute triangle, where all of its angles are less than 90s. For an example, here, all of the angles are less than 90s, but none of the angles are equal. Here, none of the angles are equal, but one of the angle is more than 90, right? So, oblique triangle itself has two different kinds. Now, here, these are some basic characteristics of any triangle. What are those? Number 1, a triangle is a three-sided figure. Okay, doesn't matter what kind of triangle it is, it will always have three sides. The sides may vary in length based on their characteristics. We have seen a lot of different types of triangles, but their angles will always add up to 180 degree. If you add all the three angles, it will be always 180 degree. A right triangle may be thought of as one half of a rectangle, because for an example, if you take this is a rectangle or this is a square. If you take one half, either one, you see that will make a triangle, right? And at the same time, that will make a right triangle, because one of the angle must be 90 degree. You see here, this is 90 degree for this half, but for this half, this is 90 degree, right? So if you just divide any rectangle or a square by its diagonal, you will have two different right triangles. And any triangles will conform the rules of triangles above. Doesn't matter what kind of triangle it is. Now let's look at a couple of quizzes. Let's see whether we understand whatever we discussed so far. Number 1, how many sides we have in a triangle? 3 sides, right? Right answer is C. A rectangle has 4 sides. Square has 4 sides, because the square is very similar to rectangle except one single property, right? Which is square has all the sides equal. For a rectangle, each inside angles measure, each angle was 90 degree, right? For a rectangle. Even for a square, that is true. So the right answer is B. For a triangle, the inside angles add up to 180 degree. Doesn't matter what triangle it is. So the right answer is C. If one of the angles in a triangle is 90 degree, the triangle is said to be a right angle, right? Right triangle. Because there is a right angle means 90 degree angle. So that triangle is called right triangle. So the right answer is A. Alright. Let's look at the circles now. I think we all know the circle, but here we learn how to calculate different parameters of a circle. All points along the circle are of the same are the same distance from the center. If you look at all the points along the circle, those are located at the same distance from the center. If this is the center, and if you consider any points on this circle, they are at the same distance. By the definition, there are 360 degree in circle, right? Remember, at the beginning we showed you a circle. If you just round like a circle, there is a 360 degree angle created. So at the center, you will have always 360 degree for a circle. There are some new parameters in the circle which were not available in triangle, in rectangle, or in a square. One of those is called radius. The radius is a distance from the center to the circumference. Now what is the circumference first? This circle here is the circumference. You see the circle here? That is called the circumference of a triangle. Or of a circle. So if you start from the center and go all the way to the circumference, that distance is called radius. You see here, this small line with an arrowhead is the radius. And the diameter is the distance from one side of the circle to the other side measured through the center. So that means from this side, you see this long line. Remember, diameter means you will be passing you will go from one side of the circle to another side, passing through the center. So if you look at this line, it's passing through the center, right? So you probably can start from here and pass through the center and go all the way to the other side. That will be the diameter. But theoretically, diameter is twice as long as the radius. You can feel it from here, right? That will be twice as long as the radius. For any circle, the diameter is twice as long as the radius. Now here, what is the circumference again? Circumference is both the boundary of a circle and length around the circle. Both of the definition is right. So there is a symbol which we use to represent the circumference, which is C. So this C represents this whole boundary of the circle, or the length of the circle. And interesting is there is a ratio of the circumference to its diameter, which is always 3.14159. That means if you divide the circumference of a circle, let's say the circumference is something like 3.6 centimeter, inches, whatever. Now you divide it by the diameter of a circle. It will be always 3.14159. So it's really interesting. Doesn't matter what circle it is. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, what is the radius, what is the circumference, but the ratio of circumference and the radius of circumference and diameter of any circle is always 3.14159. And we call this ratio pi. The pi is a Greek letter. Okay. this is how the pi look like, which represents the ratio of circumference and diameter of a circle. Basically that is 22/7. Okay, that's how the 3.14159 come into the picture. The ratio of the pi is C/D, which is always equal to 22/7. Now if you divide 22 by 7, you will exactly get that number. It will not stop. The number will never stop. So we take like first couple of digits, let's say like 5 digits after the decimal point. The more digits you take, the more accurate it will be, but it cannot be exact accurate because this division will never stop. Some divisions, right? They don't stop. So there are some more terms here. The radian is an angle defined by two radii of a circle and the arc joining them all of the same length. The number of the radians in any circle is always 2 radian, 2 pi. So radian is basically another measurement of degree. I'm saying another measurements of angle, because one measurement is degree, another measurement is radian. So that's why we can write 2 pi radian equal to 360 degree. Okay. To convert from radian to degrees or degrees to radian, we use the conversion factor in the following. We can use the conversion factor to change anything between its different units, right? We did it before, right? Remember the conversion between miles and feet and centimeter or meter, kilometer, right? As long as we know their conversion factor, we can do that. So 2 pi radian equals to 360 degree. Let's try some math here. Quiz. The diameter of a circle is twice the radius, right? So that is B. How many degrees we have in a circle? 360, so the right answer is D. The radius of a circle is twice the diameter, right? No. Okay, that's half of the diameter. So the right answer is A. Okay? Don't just shake your hand with me. So the right answer is A, because the radius of a circle is half of the diameter. Diameter is twice of the radius. So the radius is the half of the diameter. So the right answer is A. Now let's try some formula to calculate the perimeter. Now what is perimeter? So perimeter is both the boundary of a shape. We are talking about all the plane shapes and the distance around it. For an example here, let's say this is the plane, this is a shape. We have 4 sides here. Now if we add all the 4 sides, then we get the perimeter of this shape. Okay. So we add all the shapes, but before we add, make sure we add in the same unit. Now this is true for every single shape we have. This is true for triangle, rectangle, square, and any other shape we have. Look at a new word here, polygon. So far we have looked at triangles where we have 3 sides. We have looked at rectangles where we have 4 sides. But in general, we call all these kinds of shapes as polygons, because some of the shapes you might have 5 sides, some of the shapes you may have 6 sides, and they have different names, but in general we call them polygons. Okay, so all these circle, not exactly the circle, but all these like triangles, rectangle, hexagon, pentagon, there are different other shapes we have not covered here, but all those shapes are in general called polygons. So sometime you will see people are talking about perimeter of polygons, but don't get confused by that, because the triangle, rectangles, those still belong to polygon. For an example, we can make the perimeter a little bit simple, but but still that is same. For an example, this is the formula of perimeter calculation for a rectangle. You see here we have a rectangle where we have length and width given. So we are not given the other two sides, because we know the other two sides are equal, right? For an example, this side must be equal to L, because the parallel sides are equal. Parallel sides are equal, right? And this side must be equal to W. So if you try to calculate its perimeter, what do? You will calculate L plus W plus L plus W, right? Because you are adding all the four sides. So automatically it becomes 2L plus 2W, because there are 2 L's, right? And there are 2 W's, and you will be adding all the fours. So all you are doing is, when you are given the length and width, you apply the formula, and then you can calculate it just like here, 2 times length plus 2 times width, and then you will add it. And just from our previous discussions in previous lectures, remember the multiplication has higher precedence than addition, right? In any equation or any expression, if we have multiplication and addition, we'll do the multiplication first, right? Because it has the higher precedence. Same is here. We'll do the 2 times L and 2 times W first before we do the addition. In case of square, it becomes more simple since it has 4 sides equal. All the sides are equal, so we just multiply the side by 4. That's something like adding all the 4 sides, right? If you add 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, it's similar to 4 times S. So we make it a little bit simple. If we have triangle, we know that some of the triangles, they have different sides in length. Their sides are different in length, so we just add their sides. But in case if it is equilateral triangle, we know the equilateral triangle has 3 sides and all the sides are equal. So we can make it a little bit simple. We can just take one side and multiply it by 3, because all the sides are same. Instead of adding 3s plus s plus s, we just multiply s by 3. It doesn't matter. We have sides and you just add all the sides. Now how about some shapes like this? Because so far we have discussed about rectangles, square, circle, triangle. But look at this shape here. This doesn't belong to any of those. But how to calculate this shape? How to calculate the perimeter of this shape? For an example, let's say this is a floor plan. And how to do that? So we basically select a suitable formula. Note that the sketch shows the floor plan is a polygon. You know that when we say polygon, we may have as many sides as we need. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So this is basically a hexagon. So when you calculate the perimeter of hexagon or any polygon, what do? In general, you add all the sides. Now if you look at the sides carefully, here out of the 6 sides, the 4 sides are given, but the other 2 are not given, right? Can you find the other 2? If we can, then only we can calculate their side, calculate the perimeter. For an example, how about this one? It's not given here, but look at carefully. This long side here is 20 feet, right? And this side is 12 feet. So this must be 8 feet then. Because you know this whole line should be 20, right? Because this should be same to this. if this whole thing is 20 and from here to here this is 12, so this must be 8. Any question about this? This must be 8 because this is 12, right? From here to here this is 12, so this must be 8. Since from here to here is 20, and we know that from here to here this must be 12 because of this line. So we know that this is 8. And how about this? Can you guess what will be the length of this side? Look at this. This is 28 and this is 10. So this must be 18 then. Now, once we know all the sides, calculating perimeter is simple. We just add all the sides. And you can see here all the sides are in feet. We added all the sides and the total is 96 feet, and that's it. That's the calculated perimeter we have for this floor plan. Any question? So this is just the verification of the answer. Now the perimeter of a square of 4 inches in width is what? We add all the sides, right? So one side is 4 inches and we know that the other side must be 4 each. Add all the 4 sides is 16 inch. Don't confuse by the inch square, because we are not multiplying anything. We are not multiplying between inches. We are adding all the inches. So there will be no inches square. The perimeter of a rectangle is 4 inches wide and 5 inches tall. So the two sides are given. It's a rectangle. Remember, the other sides must be equal to these two sides, right? Rectangle, parallel sides are equal, right? Or you can apply the formula. There is a formula for that. Remember, the formula is what? 2 times L plus 2 times W. So what? 2 times L plus 2 times W. Here the L is 5 and W is 4, right? We do the multiplication first. This is 10 and this is 8. It's 18 inches. So the right answer is C. Any question here? Three sides of a triangle measures 3 inches. You see this prime sign, that is called inches. Sometimes we use prime instead of writing INCH. 3 inches, 4 inches and 5 inches. What is the perimeter of triangle? It's very simple. We just add their sides, right? 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 12. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. When you have just one prime, that is called feet. When you have double prime, that is called inches. So this is basically feet. So you have 12 feet in total. But when you have double prime, that's called inches. What is the perimeter of a square? 6 meters on a side. We have a square and one side is 6 meters. But we know that the other sides are equal, right? All the sides are same. So that must be 24 meters, right? We have 4 sides. Each side is 6. Either you can add 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, or you multiply 6 by 4. Either way you get 24. The right answer is B. 24 meter. What is the perimeter of a rectangle? 1 feet wide and 12 inches high. Now before you do this, look at the units. We have to have the same unit. So the rectangle width is given in feet, height is given in inches, and all the answers are given in inches. Now let's make it into feet or inches. So let's make the first one as inches. 1 feet is 12 inches. Now how do you calculate it? This is a rectangle, right? So 2 times the width equals to 24, right? And 2 times height equals to 20. If you add both of these, you will get 44 inches, right? So looks like the right answer is B. But if you look at this A carefully, 3 feet 8 inches. If you convert the 3 feet into inches, how much you get? 3 times 12 is 36 plus 8. That is still 44, right? 36 plus 8 is 44 inches, right? 3 feet equals to 36 inches plus 8 inches is 44 inches, right? If you look at this one, 2 feet equals to 24 inches and the 20 inch make it 44 again. So the interesting is all of these 3 are the right answer, because all of these 3 have the same value, but their units are different and they are written in different way. So the right answer must be D. So be careful. I know that you will get 44 and just right away just select 44. But remember, we always want the best answer. Okay. So the 44 is a good answer, 44 inch, but the best answer is D. Now we will try to calculate the perimeter of a circle. As you know that the circle is a little bit different than the other shapes because circle doesn't have any sides like triangle or rectangle. So we have a different formula for calculating the perimeter of circle. Here, once you have multiplied by 3.14159, which is pi, you will get 37.7 inches, and that's the right answer. But sometimes you will want to convert it to some other unit. You can do that because you know that 36 inches make 3 feet, so it's a little bit more than 3 feet. Let's look at a couple of quiz questions. What is the perimeter of a circle with a diameter of 1 inch? You multiply the diameter by pi, right? And
And what is the value of pi? 3.14. You can always ignore some part because you will never be able to include everything because this division never stops. The division of 22 by 7, which is basically the pi. So the right answer is A here, right? Is here multiplying. Right, of radius, so that's 10 feet. Right answer is B. To find the circumference of circle, multiply the radius by what? 2 pi. So the right answer is A, right? We multiply the radius by 2 pi and we multiply the diameter by only pi. This time the right answer is B because we multiply the diameter by pi. What is the circumference of a circle with a radius of 2 meters? Look at this, the radius is given. So the radius is given and you have to find the circumference. Just one information, I'm not sure whether you know it.
In case of circle, the circumference and perimeter means the same. Some question you will see circumference, some question you might see perimeter. Don't get confused, they are same. Okay. Everybody 12.6. Anyone has any creative answer except 12.6? Alright, so the right answer is 12.6. We multiplied it by 2 pi, right? Because this is a radius. Let's look at how much time. So let's talk about the calculating the areas. So far we looked at several different shapes and we have also looked at the formulas how to calculate their perimeters. Or let's see how many slides we are left with. We can do the homework then and then we can. Alright, so let's start from here in the next class. So let's stop here because this is the first part of the lecture where we have covered all the shapes and we have looked at their formulas to calculate the perimeter or circumference. Okay. In the next class we will start from here and we'll talk about how to calculate their areas for all the shapes. We'll talk about their formulas or techniques how to calculate the areas. Now let's log on to pause and go to the quiz section and let's practice the quizzes related to the perimeter calculation. If your websites are not working, that means you have to change your browser. There is another browser, Mozilla. If you go to the start menu, you will find the browser Mozilla. Just start with the Mozilla. Do you see the Firefox? Go to start menu and select all programs, and then you should see Mozilla Firefox.